Moving to the 3-6 matchup, playoff rivalry renewed with potentially, I don't even think it's a question. This is the series to watch here in the first round between the Denver Nuggets at the 3 seed and the Minnesota Timberwolves at the 6 seed. Denver, who, at times had a bit of a shaky season after missing Nikola Jokic in the middle of the season, getting him back, struggling mightily defensively. You see they're 21st defensively, but the best offense in the NBA, and they won their final 12 games of the regular season against a Minnesota team that was definitely inconsistent throughout, had some perplexing losses, some impressive victories, but seem like, they've made the conference finals each of the last 2 years, and it feels like they've just been waiting to get into this playoff moment once again here. And these teams have history. 2024 Western Conference semifinals, 7-game series, which Minnesota upset the then defending champion Denver Nuggets. So, Ben, very interesting series we have here between these two teams. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I can't wait for this one. This is going to be an electric matchup. And, trying to think here where I want to start. But I can't wait to see how Anthony Edwards shows up in this one. Like, I think he's going to come here hungry, ready to go as usual. As you just said, like, I wish he could have been the worst thing, but he's just hungry, trying to win a championship is what he said was the main thing. So, Anthony Edwards, the main thing for him is he's just got to stay composed and hopefully have some big games, to keep the Timberwolves in a close one, and then they could possibly have a chance. But also, the battle of the bigs, I think, will be interesting because we've seen before Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid match up good against the Nuggets down the front court, and I'm wondering if that could continue well this year. But, of course, when you face Nikola Jokic, one of the best players in the world, it's a huge task. But I'm wondering still if Gobert will have some times where he plays great defense and Naz Reid is in there stepping up off the bench, doing some good things off that bench to give the Nuggets trouble too down in the front court. And I'm wondering if that can make the Timberwolves, steal some games, and maybe even that's enough to potentially win it. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, Joey. This an incredible matchup here. I think most people would agree that Denver has the more talented team, but Minnesota has played them so well over the years. And again, they've gone deep in the playoffs each of the last 2 years.
That's the thing. You look at this on paper, it's, this Nuggets team should clear them in 4 or 5 games max. But you could have said the same thing about these two teams the last 2 to 3 years. And every single year, it is just a fantastic series that goes almost the full length every time. And it's always Timberwolves that just come out and upset. They're just always play to these moments. It's like Ben said, I love watching Ant Edwards in this series. I can't wait to watch him. He said it himself because someone asked, "Oh, you excited for this rivalry between the Timberwolves and Nuggets?" He's like, "It's really a rivalry between me and them." He's like, "I'm tired of them." I'm really excited to see how Ant Edwards plays against them because he always does fantastic. But they're going to need him. This is not as talented a team nearly as Denver, and they're really going to need their superstar to just completely take over. On the Denver side, don't take this team lightly because they are hard workers. They are motivated. They love being the underdog. It's like their mentality. And Edwards loves being that. He's going to get his team ready, and they have the experience. They really do. Like, as much as we talk about a lot of those Eastern teams, like, maybe like the 360, like the Hawks, they might have the experience. This Timberwolves, as a 6 seed, have the experience. All these guys have been in the playoffs before, won series before. They know what it takes. Denver, don't take it lightly, but that three-headed monster of Murray, Jokic, and Gordon, who had a fantastic playoffs last year, hopefully he can do something similar this year. Jamal's been an all-star finally. Like, he's having a fan. Jokic is still the best player on the planet, probably. Like, you need those guys, but I'm looking at an X factor in Tim Hardaway Jr., who is probably up there for sixth man of the year. Maybe not one of the finals, but like he should be. Like he's been so good this year. And talking about the lack of depth possibly for Minnesota, Denver really needs to utilize to keep their guys fresh and utilize their bench. And Tim Hardaway being a spark off the bench is going to be huge.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm looking at both teams here to see what they're going to bring on both ends of the floor. I remember back to that series a couple of years ago that the Wolves won in 7 games, where particularly in Game 7 of that series, Jokic and Murray both had incredible games offensively. They both scored like 34, 35 points, but no one else got it going. And their role players are going to need to knock down shots like they have all season. When you look at Aaron Gordon, Tim Hardaway, Cam Johnson, Christian Brown, they need to have their impact and imprint on this series. And I think one of the key things to look at in this series, Denver, of course, the number 1 offense in the NBA this year, but Minnesota, a very good defensive team as well. So most likely they're going to have some chances to slow the Denver offense down a little bit, which means that Denver is going to need to find some spurts where they become a better defensive team than they were in the regular season. Because flat out, the things they were doing this regular season defensively, unacceptable. I believe the lowest defensive rating of any playoff team. So they're going to need to find a way to get stops at the end of games, throughout games, and not give up a bunch of runs here. Because, yes, they have the star power where they could, get back into games if they're down by double digits. We see it all the time in the NBA. But against a good defensive Minnesota team, Denver's going to need to find ways to get stops on that end of the floor as well to try to mediate it as well. And on the Wolves side, they're going to need to focus for an entire series. I feel like sometimes they lose that, attention, in different games that they may not care as much about here. Obviously, they're going to care, a lot about this series, against Denver, a playoff rivalry, wanting to get back to the conference finals this year, if not even further. But they're going to need to focus on stopping this best offense in the NBA for an entire series. So I'm excited to see if the Wolves can do that.
Yeah, you kind of said it perfectly, but the way I would say is, well, each team has to play a full 48 minutes. No time off. You got to be focused 100% of the time because each team can take advantage in a matter of a second of lapse judgment.
Yeah. I think when you look at X factors, I think it's just a combination thing. Like overall, when this series is over, and if we were to rank all the players in this series, who's going to be the third best player for each team in this series? When you look at the Nuggets, Jokic is going to do his thing. Jamal Murray's had an incredible season. You'd expect him to be very good. And on the Wolves side, Anthony Edwards is going to bring it. And since going to Minnesota, Julius Randle has been a pretty reliable secondary player for them. So who's that third guy going to be here? And which team has that third guy that's going to provide it? Is it going to be Aaron Gordon for Denver, or is it going to be Jaden McDaniels for Minnesota, who's had a good offensive year and is already a good defender? Is it Rudy Gobert, who's had some, a terrific defensive player, had a great bounce back year this year? Nasri DiVincenzo, or is it Aaron Gordon, Cam Johnson, Christian Brown? Like, who's that going to be? Who is that going to be? I think that is where you're going to look at, to determine who's going to end up winning this series. But overall, looking at who we have winning, once again, we all agree, all of us going with the Denver Nuggets. Ben and I with the Nuggets in 6, Joey with the Nuggets in 7, and Nick thinks this is going to be a quick one with the Nuggets in 5. Joey, why do you have the Nuggets in 7?
Mostly just because, probably, again, on paper, you're looking at it, Nick's right, Nuggets in 5. That's what I would usually say. But over the eye test over the last couple years and how these two teams play against each other, I'm thinking a 7-game series, and I'm hoping for a 7-game series. It is just super fun. I'm ready for it. I think both teams are just going to play hard fought the entire time, and I think you're going to see the stars on display. And I hope it goes 7. I just really do.
Yeah, would certainly be a lot of fun. Ben, Nuggets in 6. What are your thoughts?
I think going into this playoffs for Denver, Aaron Gordon's my biggest X factor for them because he plays great defense, is locking up the opposing team's best scorer while Denver's still playing some pretty good offense, hopefully. Then I think, this Denver team could look like a contender out there. And of course, it'll be something I start watching for in the series. And I would love it to go to 7-2, but I think Jokic can have big games along with Jamal Murray, and it's just, more so the better scoring duo that Denver, I believe, is going to have in this series between him and Murray. With them having big games, is going to be enough to lift them, and they'll figure out how to deal with the Timberwolves bigs better this time around.
Yeah, overall, I just think Denver is the better team, and I think they're just going to get the job done. I mean, I think that they are going to be able to get the job done. And Minnesota, my philosophy, I mean, they're obviously capable of upsetting and winning this series. We've seen them do it against Denver before, but for me, seeing Denver each of the last few years, like the last 2 years, end up as the 6th seed, like this year and last year, and then, I mean, the year before making it as the 3 seed, but upsetting Denver. I don't see a world where a team ends up in 6th back-to-back years and ends up going far in the playoffs back-to-back years. Like, I feel like that'd be crazy, and you just don't see it happen a whole lot. So for that, I think that Minnesota is going to lose in the first round here. It's crazy that one of those teams is going to go out this early in the playoffs, but I think Minnesota does have some roster decisions that they need to address this offseason, and I think that we'll end up seeing that here.